Hello slashing friends, this is my endgame build for the Falconer on Last Epoch in order to crush your enemies in endgame without any mana issue. You'll have some very good DPS based on bleeding and also be quite tanky. If you like the content, don't forget to subscribe and I'll explain everything in that video. I'll start this video by how the build is working. You want to use Net in order to proc some bleeding to your enemies and also your smoke bomb. This Net will be using the puncture, meaning that you don't have to cast puncture, it will be cast by Net and you'll have a lot of bleeding damage on your enemies. You also want, once you reach 36 stacks of aerial prowess, to use this mobility spell in order to gain frenzy and haste. It will be much more efficient if you have 36 stacks to gain these buffies, but of course it's possible to use this mobility spell without having the stacks. With this setup, you also want to have plenty of caltrops in order to boost your bleeding stack to your enemies, and it will be very easy to reach 999 stacks on your enemies. You'll see that in the gameplay. You have two other spells, this one, the Falcon Strike, in order to proc some bleeding to your enemies and also to kill someone below 16% of its life, so it's very good against bosses, and the Decoy if you want to lure your enemies to attack them, and the Decoy which can help you if you need. Now for the skill, you want to have Net in order to proc puncture just here, some bleeding just here, and the fact that it will no longer flip you back. You also want additional traps just here, cold traps here, and this one to have the smoke bomb. You want here to have additional physical damage over time, bleed stack, and this one to have additional damage and bleed duration. Then you get here the fact that the nets cannot be dodged, and here the fact that you'll have untrace advantage, increased damage, and here increased attack speed. For Puncher, you'll get here the fact that you'll have poison convert into bleed chance and the toxin debuff. Then you'll want to get here in order to reach just here Shadow Dagger on hit. We'll also get some armor shredding. Be careful, it's very important to understand that with armor shredding you want to use this glove, this one, in order to have the physical penetration for bleeding, otherwise it doesn't work. For the smoke bomb, you want to have here 1 point for the bleed chance, this one for the duration, this one to have bleed chance on puncture, and here you want to have increased leech on throwing attacks. You also want here the fact that you'll have a dusk shroud to increase your glancing blow chance, and this one to have more dusk shrouds. For the mobility spell, you want to get 1 point here, the fact that you'll have some cold drops, bleeding with cold drops, and in order to have additional cold drops. You also want some healing based on your missing heals, and here the fact that it will reduce your cooldown of falconry. You also want here the fact that you'll get aerial prowess, and also here some aerial prowess stacks, and this one in order to have haste and frenzy when you consume your aerial prowess stacks. For the last spell, this one you want to get here additional hits and attack speed, this one for the heals and mana when you hit a boss, and this one for the finisher with 16%. You also want to have here in order to get some cooldown reduction, and this one to buff your falcon damage, this one for the falcon hits, and this one for the feather knives, which is a skill which is just here. So you take this one, you want to get 2 points here to increase the damage, and you want to get 1 point in order to have the triple effect of this node. For the gear, you'll want to get this helm with some stats and resistances. You also want on it damage over time, bleed duration as a base helm. You want this one for vitality, dexterity, some resistances, and also try to get either armor on it or also resistances on the base. For the weapon, make sure to use a spear, increase damage over time and some mana regen, and if possible you want to get some area of effect and either bleeding chance or poison chance. Also on the base weapon, make sure to have chance to poison. Then you want to get, for the gloves, you have two options. You can get some cooldown or increase minion damage, and you want attack speed on it for the throwing attack speed and mana cost. For the amulet, you want to have less damage reduction on overtime damage, increase damage over time, some mana, and some resistances. Lastly, for the relic, make sure to have a base of shred armor on it, +3 to nets, and increase throwing damage. You'll also want damage over time and resistances. You want to have this shred armor because we play this glove, falconry, physical penetration for bleed, chance to bleed, and so on. And if you want to have a legendary item, make sure to get throwing attack speed, hybrid life, and resistances or armor. For the boots, you want to get this one, bleed duration, some stats, movement speed, and for the stats, also hybrid life, movement speed, dexterity, and some resistances if you need. For the belt, this one for the bleed, the physical skills, and a bit of stats, and you'll also want on it some mana, regeneration, physical damage, and hybrid life or resistances. For the idols, you want to get some resistances, buffies to your area for throwing area skills, this one to boost your caltrops, and singularity, which will boost your damage as we don't do any critical strike. For the blessing, you want these three in order to boost your chance to bleed, this one for the increased armor, and this one too for the increased armor. For the passives, you want to get increased attack speed, dexterity and heals, and this one for a chance to have a glancing blow. We also get 8 points here in order to have a glancing blow and everything that we have left in the Falconer. You want 8 points for the heals and a bit of dodge rating, and this one 4 points in order to grant you mana when you dodge. You want 1 point here to unlock this one, which will grant you additional bleed chance when your falcon hits an enemy, and this one just 4 points in order to trigger the rest. You want 5 points here to have the bonus, which will increase your puncture damage, and 8 points to have bleed chance with your spear. You want 5 points in order to have a bit of warding, which will help you to survive, and 1 point to have Falcon, which is instant. You want 2 points here to unlock this one and this one, 3 points for the bonus, and 4 points here for the armor and the bonus. It's the same for here, 5 points to unlock the bonus, grant you some increased damage over time, 4 points to have additional potion slots and effect on haste and haste duration, and this one 6 points to have some heals and dodge, this one to have the throwing damage and the bonus, and this one to have a chance of glancing blow. Finally, you get this, which will decrease the damage that you take while moving, increase movement speed and dodge rating, which will be also doubled when your falcon hit an enemy. I'll let you enjoy the gameplay, and you have two parts. The first one, a speed farming in 150, and the second one, a boss also in 150. Just make sure to use your mobility when you need it, and otherwise spam your traps in order to kill your enemies. If you have a boss or a big elite, you can also of course use the falcon attack in order to melt it down. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget that you have everything on the link below the video with, for example, the affixes or the tool. If you have any question, also feel free to post in the comments, I'll be happy to answer you.